So Ernest Holmes would start off every talk that he ever did with there's a power for good in the universe. And that power is greater than we are, that we can use it. And you've heard me say before that I disagreed with Ernest a little bit with that. Because there's a power for good in the universe, and we are always using it. Because you can't turn off this power. This power is always working. It's a law that creates all things. And so what happens with that is that this power creates, and it multiplies its effects by 1,000-fold when people come into unity with one consciousness. And so my talk today is going to be about that idea that when we come together as a group or with a collective awareness toward anything, the power that creates the universe is multiplied by thousands and thousands and thousands of times. So that the creative power is expanded. So remember in the Bible when Jesus said, where 2 or more of you are gathered in my name. Then you can go, where 3 or more are gathered in my name. Where 4 or more are gathered in my name. And when that comes to bear, the power expands. It was fascinating on Wednesday night, we have midweek spiritual recharge at our home. And there were 7 of us sitting there. And we went into a state of meditation together. And after we meditated, we did spiritual mind treatment. We did prayer together. We formed almost like a chamber of prayer or a ministry of prayer together, where we just simply, from the state of oneness, we united in our voices, in our minds together to birth consciousness, demonstrating in other people's lives and in our lives. And what came out of that was, isn't it interesting that Gene and I do this on Wednesday nights with community members who come together with us? Then the question we ask, why aren't we doing this together every night? Isn't that fascinating? So Thursday night comes, and I looked at Gene and I said, is it time for us to meditate? So instead of doing that ritual of this TV show or this or that, we just simply dimmed the lights and we went into meditation. And while we were meditating, this front door probably could use a handyman can because it squeaks, or a can of WD-40, whichever comes first. All of a sudden you hear this, and I gently opened my eyes, and it's my son Stephen. And I just gently pointed, and the next thing you know, the 3 of us were in meditation. And so there was a collectiveness now that went from 1 who suggested, 2 to participating, 3 joining in, and the whole energy of the room shifted. And then the community that we had together after we came out of meditation, it was a different energy, it was a different way of being, it was centered in pure love. Because the idea of meditation, and we talked about this before over and over again, that when we meditate and when we pray, all we are doing is we are awakening that we are divinely created. We are awakening to the truth that that's who we are. We're putting aside the illusion that we're this separate beingness in human form that is separate from everything else, and we're coming back together into a state of one. And so when you look at the world today, there's so many people that say, well, I wish I could go to Tibet, and I could be a monk, and I could be by myself, and I could go into deep meditation, I could get the experience of the divine. And that's perfect for a while. But we weren't meant to be alone. We're part of the allness of God, and we were meant to be together. And what I understand from this idea of what the monks have done and what great spiritual sages have done as they've gone off in retreat by themselves is they first work on themselves. They awaken the Christ, they awaken the Buddha, they awaken the divine within themselves. And when they've woken it within themselves, then they're able to see it in others. Because until we can see something as us, we cannot see it in someone else. The most that we can see in another is the most that we can see in ourselves. So the idea of separating and being alone and being in group cannot be separated. The beauty of community is that what's in our community, the experience that we are having, is reflecting back to us who we are. Does that make sense? So the community literally becomes a mirror. Our partnership, if we're in a relationship with someone, is a mirror back to us. Our relationships at work are mirroring back to us who we are. And the idea to have to go in and change the job, change the person, is a misnomer. We have to change ourselves. And as we change ourselves, we attract differently into our lives. So the purpose of community. First thing is, it's got to be a safe place. It's got to be a place where you, I, anyone walking into this room at Agape feels that this is safe. That you can be authentically yourself. Isn't that a cool idea to be authentic? You know, when the snow comes tumbling down, billions upon billions upon billions of snowflakes, there's not one of them that's alike. There's not a snowflake falling down next to another snowflake saying, hey buddy, change, be like me. But we in our humanness have somehow gotten an idea that we must be like this or we must be like that. And the idea is never to become like anyone else. The idea is to become the perfect snowflake that is us. Because you are the unique expression of God. You were born to be the expression that was Jesus. You were born to be the expression of Mother Teresa. You were born to be the expression of Christina, of Bill, and of PJ, and of Deb, and of Harry, and of Hank, and Joanne, and Stone. You're all special because the Christ, the Buddha, the infinite, chose itself to be who I am. So when you go back to the words and they say, I am, it's free on the end of that word. There's nothing after it, so you can be anything you want. And no matter what you choose, you will never be like anyone else. Now the thing is about coming into community like this, is to come in and be that. And that without judgment, people here accept you as you are. They may not agree with your choices, but they look beyond the choices, and what they see within is the divine nature that exists in all things. You see, that's the real key thing to being in non-judgment. To being in community is to always know that within every individual, there is the God. There is the universal mind. There is the infinite intelligence. There is the perfection of life expressing and experiencing itself. It must be. Because without that, we could not communicate. You see, consciousness is everywhere. And without consciousness, a common consciousness that is connected in every way, there's no possible way that you could be listening to what I'm saying. There's no possible way that the musicians could have performed in the way that they did. And you hear that, and you vibrate with that. You see, everything is one vibration. And to the degree that we're tuned into that vibration, you get to experience. So we have this idea that it's safe. But it's not only safe, but it's a place that challenges us to become more of our divinity, to become more of our essence. And it does so without judging. So one of the interesting things I heard about the role of a minister is this. I'm here to comfort the afflicted and to afflict the comfortable. Because to have an idea that I'm going to get into that place where I'm in, and just stay there for eternity, it's not the nature of the divine. The divine nature is to create and to create more and more and more. So our lives are that expression about creating. Now it's okay to pause for a while and get into a meditative state and to be, but as soon as we come out of that, we can't wait to create. I love what John D. Martini said when he was here, and he talked about the idea that when you truly know what you value, Your life is never boring. You can go 18 hours a day doing what you do because it's what you love. It's what you've chosen. It's what you've decided you were meant to be. And when you've decided it and you've chosen it, you can't help but be giving and loving and joy-filled and excited and attracting everything into your creative melting pot that comes together that allows you to create that. The key thing is, do we know who we are? And in spiritual community, we get to find that out together. Because everyone in this community is reflecting back to you who you're being. Did you ever notice that? How we can watch someone get responses from people as they interact with the group of people, and we'll notice that everyone's getting a slightly different response? Because everyone has a different energetic vibration, and everyone's in a different level of awareness. And so when the reaction comes, there's a unique way of being together. So if we're sensitive to that idea, and I want to change the word from sensitive, if we're aware, then we understand who we're being. Am I being more loving with Rand than I'm being with Chris? You see, I can look at that and feel it. Is there a bit of a judgment there in any way, shape, or form? See, if we're aware, we can be in community and we can find out, are we living to our authentic self? The thing that I want to do now is go to this next slide. And I love this. When a group of people come together with one accord, a greater power is generated. Not because the creative power responds to a greater number of people, more than it does to one, but because the combined faith of a group reaches a higher level of acceptance. So when Roxanne was doing the guided visualization, the guided meditation earlier about the common home, what we are asking all of you to put into the law, to put into feeling, what did it feel like for you? What did this home embody for you? What could you be in this home? How could you take that and bring other people so that together we teach and we empower and we support greater and greater and greater numbers of people to get it so that we can collectively come together and we can build peace into Dallas-Fort Worth. We can build abundance into Dallas-Fort Worth. We can have a community of 5 million people here that are loving all the time, that are living in non-judgment, that are saying, okay, government, let's build an infrastructure that makes life better for everybody. You see, we have that power right now with the 60, 70 people here today. We have the power of we unite in one form, in one idea, in one consciousness, in one awareness, and with belief. We together affirm that, our power is multiplied by thousands and thousands and thousands of times, and we can change anything. They have said that a person who is aware of their personal and spiritual power can influence and change the lives of millions. That is what Jesus did, that is what Buddha did, that is what all the great avatars did. But you see, we have to recognize that there's a power within us now. And then we have to recognize that that power exists within everyone. And then we come together into a unity, and then we express that power toward a common good. The simplest example I can give you is the musicians today. So we have 2 of our regular musicians, David and Alex, here. And Dane has joined them on the keyboards. And then Michael came, and he was our guest soloist, and Gene was a part of that. So there's 5 musicians. And as a group, they've never been together. They've never been together before. And yet when they came and they started the rehearsal, they knew their talent. They knew their connection with what was theirs to do. And they were so open to each other that the energy and the vibration brought them together into a state of oneness. And the music, you would never know that they didn't play together all the time. That's the power of a collective awareness and a collective consciousness. The question I want to ask is this how you want to dance? Is this how you want to play? Do you want to be a part of something bigger? Or do you want to stay small and hide? not backing away from this because that's what the idea of building Agape is about. It's to play big. It's not only to play big as an individual, it's to play big as a collective group. A collective group that can look at anyone and see love. That can look at someone and not judge, but see that they're having their experience and to know that the divinity that is God is right there with them. It's the ability to look in the eyes no matter what the condition and see the joy and the peace and the beauty that is really being reflected back from you. Everything in life reflects back to us who we are. And the beauty of a community, whether it's large or it's small, but being a part is, they will remind us. So the benefit of being a part of Agape is that you will always be reminded who you are. You are the infinite intelligence of God expressing itself. You are perfect just as you are. Your life will change with your next thought. You are not bound by the past. You are free, unlimited, to experience, express, and do anything in your mind's ability to create. So go back. When a group of people come together, and they come together with one accord, one idea in mind, a greater power is generated. And that power is multiplied by thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And what stops us from creating a new world? Nothing. Because that's how powerful you are. And that's the commitment we have made here, together with you, to change the world. But we start first by changing our individual life. We support each other in changing our lives, and then we take it out. And through our example, we don't evangelize. We are an example in the world. Words, what is it that Emmer said? I can't hear a word you're saying because of who you're being. Your actions speak louder. Your actions speak so loud that I cannot hear a word that you say. Think about that. Your actions speak so loud, I cannot hear a word that you say. So if you're in a relationship, and you're saying to your partner, I love you, I love you, I love you, and they're saying, I don't believe it. There's something about the actions that are not speaking the words of love. Because in true relationship, you should be able to just be and know that I am and that you are one.